Hi, everybody. It's Laurie White from the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce, back again for another episode of Chamber TV. And today is episode number 113. And as our guest today, we are speaking with Department of Labor and Training Director Scott Jensen. And this is Scott Jensen's very last day on the job. So, Scott, welcome. And all I can say is we are going to miss you. You have been amazing to work with. So, welcome.
Well, thanks. And you guys have been amazing to work with, too. And not only is it my last day, but it's my last half hour on the job. So, you're going to have to excuse me if I'm a little emotional.
Yes.
I love this state and I love this job. And it's going to be hard to leave.
So where are you going? Tell us.
Well, I'm working on that in particular, but I'll be working in Maryland. My family has lived in Maryland the whole time I've been here. We didn't really have enough time to think about if we were going to move. So kind of one thing just led to another, and I've been kind of every other weekend basically heading back to Maryland to be with my wife and daughter. And I think it's time. My daughter was 8 when I started this job, and she's 14 years old right now. So, it's time to go home.
Well, I hope they want you back.
Yeah.
So, anyway, you are wrapping up your role as head of DLT. You brought so many innovations to the job and to the post as a member of Governor Gina Raimondo's cabinet. So let's think back to that day in January, 6 years ago, when you came to Rhode Island and you had ideas for some really fantastic new programs that you partnered with us at the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce. So let's just take a little bit of a walk back in time and reflect on those programs and talk a little bit about the impact they made.
Sure. Well, I think the first one was Real Jobs, Rhode Island. It was called Real Jobs Now, way back then on the 7th of January of 2015. And I remember when the governor interviewed me, she said, that Real Jobs thing, how fast can you do it? And I said, well, I think about 9 months and we can really get going. And she said, okay, great. You have 6. And I, of course, when the governor says you have 6 months, you get it done. So we got it done. Also, was what became skills for Rhode Island's future, which I think is one of the most important assets that the state of Rhode Island has right now. During the pandemic, I can't tell you how many times people turn to skills to recruit folks for field hospitals and other really important parts to deal with the pandemic. But now, as we're moving into hopefully soon, really being able to get this economy moving again, skills is right out front. Just so people know, Laurie White, you and Janet and the team at the Greater Providence Chamber, you were, absolutely pivotal, amazing partners. I went to Chicago to visit skills. We talked about it over and over again. You guys helped recruit, you incubated them. So much it would have never happened without the Greater Providence Chamber. And, thank you. And Laurie, we talked about not getting too sentimental because I'm just gonna get weepy. So, those three, those things were some amazing pieces of work I think we got done.
Very special time. So let's just go back a little and let's talk about Scott Jensen, the person, and then we can talk more specifically about the programs that you brought to Rhode Island. So one of the first things that I learned about you that I found so fascinating was that you were a philosophy major in college, and you use philosophy as the underpinnings for every assignment, every engagement, every project, every scenario or situation in life. So tell us a little bit about how philosophy is really at your core.
Sure. So not only was I a philosophy major, I was a philosophy professor. So I spent forever in graduate school. Philosophy maybe is the least practical degree you can get in college. And I, of course, went and studied the least practical part of the least practical degree, 20th century German philosophy in New York City. But one thing that I think was crucial from my education when it came to doing work here in Rhode Island was, innovation is typically not really about knowing more than other people, but it's about being able to think your way out of boxes that you're painting yourself in without even knowing it. There's an old saying from Ludwig Wittgenstein, a great philosopher. A person stuck in a room with a door that only opens out will be stuck in that room forever if they just keep pushing and they don't pull. And, one of the things that we've been trying to do here and that the governor has been trying to do everywhere in government is do things different. Pull the door, open it up and see what happens. And I think that in a lot of ways we've been able to do that. And, my poor team here at DLT, if they have to hear that story one more time, that they're going to, faint. But, I think that that spirit of innovation is important. And I think we've been able to do it for 6 years here at the DLT. And I think also that I don't think the DLT is going to go back to sort of kind of being stuck in a rut. There's too many smart, really good people here who want to help and they want to add value to their community and they do a great job. So I think that's going to, I think we've turned a corner at DLT, I hope.
Yeah. So the notion that it takes a philosopher to innovate at DLT within the state government is a very interesting concept, and the fact that you tie it to the least marketable, career trend or career track with the DLT directorship. The irony of it is very interesting. But so from there, you were very active in Maryland after you concluded your academic career and your credentials as a professor. And in Maryland and in other parts of the country, you really perfected this idea of jobs that actually exist. And you brought this as a concept to Rhode Island. So is that correct? And tell us a little bit about some of the thinking that went into bringing it to Rhode Island and making it different here in Rhode Island than in other places.
Well, so, what we've done here together is sector-based workforce development. And, the main tenets of that are you trained people based on real jobs that you have to actually sit down with businesses in the state and listen and talk to them and serve them. They're the folks that are going to hire people, and they are the folks that are going to drive the economy forward. Then you can work backwards, and you can, bring in CCRI. You can bring in so many great nonprofits we have, Rhode Island College, URI, you name it. You can bring in the network of people who it's going to take to reach deep into our community, find great candidates, and train them kind of just in time for the jobs they have to do, for the jobs that are available. And, I think that here in Rhode Island, we really did a couple of things. Number one, we were able to, hold on, my screen went out. One of the things we were able to do was do it at scale. The idea that the governor always had was we're going to turn Rhode Island's economy around. So you couldn't just do that by a little pilot project. You had to go big. That was number one. And number two really was you gotta do the hard government work behind the scenes to actually make things like contracting and procurement and bringing together different funding streams in a way that's transparent and frankly legal. You have to do all that work, or else you can have the biggest ambitions in the world and you don't get it done. So, I think we were able to do all of that, and with a remarkable team here at the DLT. And I think that it's going to be a competitive advantage for Rhode Island for a long time. Certainly was, I think, the best workforce program in the country, and still is.
Mm-hmm. Did you quit the program when you had a similar role elsewhere?
So I did. In we did something called Earn Maryland. I had just about 2 years to do that, and it was sort of the test case for what became Real Jobs Rhode Island. Earn Maryland still exists. It's still doing well. It survived into the next administration, which was a Republican administration. So kind of a bipartisan effort. I think that in Rhode Island, we've taken it much further and laid, like I was saying, the infrastructure to have something that's really valuable for a long time and will last. I think that we have 43 partnerships in Rhode Island, and they've done remarkable work. And I think that the businesses they serve are hopefully they're finding a lot of value in the training programs, and I hope that everybody advocates to keep Real Jobs Rhode Island going strong for many years to come. It's not about me. It's about the companies in the state and the great employees that they're looking for, who we can help get jobs and have this state thrive. I'm not going to be living in Rhode Island, but I'm going to be rooting for Rhode Island because, I feel like I know all the people and I want to see you guys win. And I think you're gonna.
We are talking to Scott Jensen, the outgoing head of the Rhode Island Department of Labor and Training. He has been with us for 6 years. Today is his very last day on the job. In fact, it's his very last hour, going home to Maryland. And we are talking about all kinds of issues that Scott has dealt with at the DLT. This is episode number 113 of Chamber TV. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Twitter, and we are live on YouTube. If you have questions, please write them into the chat box, and we will post our questions to Director Jensen. You just mentioned, Scott, the idea of real jobs. How do you define real jobs? And can you give us a couple of examples of a job that is not a real job in the rubric of the way this program is calibrated?
So, Real Jobs Rhode Island really names a platform for helping great partnerships around the state to put together training programs. But when we want and always wanted to target real jobs in another sense. And what I think is a real job is one that really does two things: really adds value to the enterprise of the company that hosts it, and allows a person to make a good living and to really have a stake in our community and contribute to it and be able to take care of a family if that's what they want to do. And I think, yes, there are a lot of ways that the Department of Labor here contributes to that, in terms of minimum wage and things like that. But let's face it, if we're not competitive globally, our companies aren't able to beat other countries fair and square. We're not going to be able to provide the kinds of great real jobs that we all want. So since not having good talent is an inhibitor to growth. And, so many companies I've talked with, so many companies the governor has talked with have cited lack of great talent as an inhibitor of growth. Boy, oh boy, what a win-win to be able to, give Rhode Islanders the skills and the opportunity they need while becoming much more competitive. That is, you just don't get to work on a project like that too often. And, it has been such an honor to me and such a great learning opportunity to see all of the great things that our state's companies are doing. Manufacturers and landscapers and accountants. I mean, just, so many things that the philosophy professor just didn't know about. And I'm blessed every day to learn more and more and more. Mm-hmm. But we have a diverse and strong economy, and we've got to keep going because we really want to see everybody succeed.
Yeah. And, you talk about some factors that are happening globally that are going to influence job creation, job production in this country and in this world. Are you all concerned about artificial intelligence and the digitization of certain jobs that will actually cause certain jobs and situations to evaporate? The notion of robots coming in and the like, and what are some of your thoughts about AI?
I think that I think that we have to embrace that change. It's going to be coming. There's just no way around it. Number one. Number two, I think that yes, there will be some jobs that are gone, but there are also going to be new jobs. And what we need to do for one another is make sure that we're giving people the skills and the support they need to make that change. And yes, we're all good people, and we want to see our neighbors and our community members and our friends succeed. But there's also an economic imperative to it. If everybody is succeeding and we're doing it right, that means we're going to be more competitive. And that means, we are going to continue to hold the line on the sort of standard of living that, Rhode Island for generations and generations has been able to provide its residents. And, I'm bullish on it. Rhode Island is a very advanced and technological place. I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes because, there are great things like coffee milk that I have fallen in love with. But, and that feels homey. And this is a homey, great place. But it's also a very sophisticated place. And I just hope Rhode Islanders really, really appreciate how forward thinking this great state is. And don't be afraid of the future, because it's going to be good if we all work on it together. And I think we are.
Yeah, I love the way you talk about acknowledging AI and other forces around that. And also your comment about, well, that will create a whole new bevy of jobs with demanding of other skills and competencies and, capabilities to bring to the role. If you were to be advising someone who is looking to upskill or reskill their own situation, what would you tell them?
So I think the first thing is that you have to start with your strengths. We're a strength state here in Rhode Island, and it's such a smart thing because you can't, if you're not a technical person, the idea that your place in the new economy is going to be coding is just simply not going to work. But if you can figure out what you're good at and what you like, and then seek how technology matters for an industry like the one that you're passionate about, I think what you're going to find is you'll succeed. One of my favorite examples of this is, the landscaping industry. People tend to think, cutting grass or something like that. That's not right. That's not what happens in the landscaping industry. You need to know botany. You need to know what plants work for global warming, and you need you need technological skills, because you're going to need communicate with computers. You're going to be doing invoicing with computers. You're going to need to know some technology. So not everybody has to be a coder. Not everybody needs to do something that they're not suited for. The world is not all about robots. It's not all about artificial intelligence, but all of those things enhance our innate skill sets. And, find out what you're good at, keep looking at it, don't be afraid, push forward, reach out for help, like at places like the Labor Department, CCRI, and Rhode Island College. Learn more, and I think folks are going to be just fine. But it starts with your strengths for sure.
Yeah.
So Fritz will absolutely love that, and thank God for him, because he's doing great work.
When you say your strengths base, are you referring to the strengths finder diagnostic set of testing? Is that what you're referring to?
That's exactly right. We've done it for everybody at DLT, and it really does help you. I'm not sure if the science of it makes an exact match, but boy, does it get you thinking about where you are and what you like and why you like certain things. Mm-hmm. Helps you to focus your attention on, parts of the great endeavor that we're all involved in. Which parts of it can I specifically add value to, and do I want to be a part of? And then you can learn the technology, and then you can learn the skills that you're going to need. But you got to start with what you want and what you love and what you're going to be good at.
So everyone took the test. What is your strengths? I took it too, so I'll tell you mine after you tell me one of yours.
Sure. Let's see if I can tick them off. I have an interesting set. First off, I'm competitive. Second, I am an input person, which is something like intellectual hoarding, I think. I'm also strategic, and there are a couple of other ones, but it's those three that, I like to gather information. I like to make good plans that I think have a chance at working. And then I like I'm competitive about seeing those things through. So the other two strengths, I have them written down, but I don't know them off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. What are you, Laurie?
All right. Connector, a relationship builder, a strategic activator. I think those were, as I recall, those were some of my strengths. But hey, that's good. I guess we're in the good jobs, right?
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right. And that's why, you're great at what you do. You got to love it. And then from there, you start working at it.
So, not to joke around, but if folks that are listening are not really familiar with the Strengths Builder diagnostic test, it's widely used all around the country. Tell folks how they might, go about figuring out what they are.
Yeah, I mean, what I would use Google, and I just Google Strength Finder Rhode Island. What you'll get. It's relatively inexpensive. You take a test. They ask you a bunch of questions, and then you'll get 5 strengths. And it's super surprising what you learn. And it's really fun if you can do it with a few other people with whom you work. Because, for example, the competitive part of my strengths. I did this, and I was with some people at work, and I'm like, I get these other ones, but this competitive thing I don't get it. And literally everybody laughed at me. I'm like, really? I'm like that? And they're like, you're totally like that. So it was a good little bit of self-knowledge is always a good thing.
Yeah. So the reason we're talking about this, and again, this is a very organic conversation. One of the great things that I love about you, Scott, is that you can go anywhere. You can go wide, you can go deep, we can get totally interesting things. But what we're talking about essentially is knowing oneself. That would be something that would be
Socrates.
yes, it's a philosophy. But knowing yourself and knowing what you had and knowing what you love to do, and how you can translate that into a good match for an employment, perspective. And if you have a job you love, then you never have to work a day in your life, as that saying goes. So it might very well be worth, everyone's while to think about how to really how to understand yourself better. So whether it's the DISC assessment or Strengths Finder or Myers-Briggs or any one of those, it's interesting, right?
No, that's absolutely true. And, you can also go, and this will get better and better as time goes by. But if you went to backtoworkrhodeisland.com, what you're going to find is Skipper, the bot. Skipper is an AI-driven bot. And, we're doing something in Rhode Island that no other state in the country is doing yet. And it is, you need to kind of go deep into how is it when people change jobs in the economy, like how does it work and who's successful and what are some of the signs that a change is going to work for somebody. And we have data at the Labor Department. Every quarter, every company in this state has to give us Social Security numbers of all their employees and what that employee made that quarter. And that data's been gathered since the 1930s, and it's what we use to verify UI claims. But when you think about what that data looks like, we can follow Social Security numbers as they make their way through the economy for their whole career. And, we mine that data, and out of that data mining exercise, when you sign up for Skipper, we're going to ask you certain questions about your strengths and what are some of the things you've done. We're going to ask you to upload a resume for us. And Skipper is going to be crunching your data against the data of everybody else in the whole state, the whole labor force for the last 10, 15 years. And the idea will be Skipper will then kind of search the web for you and put forward possibilities based on very sophisticated artificial intelligence algorithms to give people suggestions about what they might do if they have to change jobs and what jobs are available. And hopefully, again, we're at iteration 3 of 6 when it comes to building Skipper out. So Skipper is the functional equivalent of a middle schooler right now. But in the next 3 or 4 months, Skipper will have graduated college and get a lot better. So, that's just an example of, where our state is innovating over and above other states. We really want to make our free labor market work quicker for companies and people. And things like Skipper, things like Real Jobs, things like Skills for Rhode Island's Future, all of those things are meant to do just that. Connect people quicker, get people the training they need, help them find new directions in their careers. A lot of really exciting things. And if Rhode Island can keep leading, I think the next 20 years are going to, really start to show a difference.
Yeah. So is this project, this is a project that was developed in-house at DOT and using your strengths as a competitive person, really figured out how to grind it out very quickly and and use, as we were talking about AI just a few minutes ago, but the concept of AI, here's a real example of how it can be used to help advance and to really understand data in a predictive analytic way and then bring it home to somebody, very simply via the bot sticker, who no doubt will graduate from college with a philosophy degree, of course. But using all of these, skills and capacities and applications that are available today through data analytics to do, some pretty remarkable things.
No, it's absolutely true. And, I would like to tell you that, it was just me sitting in this room thinking about all these things. But, I do work for Gina Raimondo still for a couple of hours. And, she was pretty insistent on, Scott, you have to do some things differently. Come on, go. I met this woman from Google. Go talk to the Google lady. We need to do this. I need, we need a technological application to some of the work that you're doing. The governor is a relentless person, and what a joy to work with someone like her. Really an honor of a lifetime. And I told her that if she thinks that she can get rid of me as easily, as a friend, by just getting herself nominated to be U.S. Commerce Secretary, she's got another thing coming, because Maryland is really close to D.C. So, I'll keep up with Governor Raimondo whether she wants to or not. And hope.
Well, just to be clear, it is not your intention to join her at the Department of Commerce. I know you have longstanding relationships in Maryland and projects that you're really eager to dig deeper into, that no doubt we'll learn more about at the appropriate time.
Yeah. No, I'm not working at the Commerce Department, but I will visit. And, I hope Governor and I have talked about it, and I'm sure that I will see her again in the future. This probably won't work for her, but maybe we'll get to work jointly together. That would be fun.
Absolutely. So, while I have you, we have, a little bit more time left. I did want to tick through a few other issues, Scott, if that's okay, that I know is topical. And the first one is COVID-19. You mentioned, back to work programs that DLT is doing in the aftermath of COVID-19. So how are we doing in that area? What are your thoughts? 6 months out, where do you think we'll be?
Yeah. So a couple of things. The Back to Work Rhode Island program is a supercharged version of Real Jobs, and the CARES Act offered a real opportunity because we could invest that money in the turnaround, in addition to helping out, get us through the teeth of the crisis. So just like to point out that Pennsylvania launched Back to Work Pennsylvania today. We all thought that was interesting. That maybe a little bit of a copy, which is very flattering.
You were out so much earlier, though. You had at least a 6 month head.
Oh, absolutely. So, $45 million worth of job training programs, hundreds of them, contracted in the course of 3 months. And, I can tell you that we were busy writing contracts here, but the reason we were able to do that was because of the ideas that came from the 43 Real Jobs partnerships and, about 25 individual amazing leading companies in our state, from CVS, General Dynamics, Bank of America, Fidelity, you name it. I know I'm leaving people out, but the governor asked folks to step up, and they did. And really proud of that effort. 7,000 people are going to be able to change careers because of that work. And, it's pretty remarkable. We're about halfway through right now. 3,500 people roughly are in the midst of mid-flight of a training program right now, and they're changing their lives. We have stories that we're videoing of some of the things that people have done, and it's inspiring. COVID has done a number on all of us, and certainly will leave some scars in the economy that are going to require people to dig pretty deep sometimes and put themselves forward in a new way. So we want to be there to support them. We are really impressive effort, and I am so proud of the team at DLT for doing that work. Proud of the governor for making us do it, supporting us and pushing us, and everybody in between. So really, really good program. And I think, you'll see much more of it to come.
Well, what you're saying is that across the board, employers and employees have had an imperative to revisit, relook at their processes, relook at the job configurations, relook at whether or not certain roles are in fact necessary, or probably even more predominantly whether certain occupations even need to exist anymore,
Yeah.
given everything that we've gone through as a result of consumers' habits shifting amazingly. Is that part of what you're saying?
Yep. No, I think you've said it beautifully. And, just even, for example, one of the things that really became clear to me during the teeth of the pandemic, trying to just get through unemployment insurance. Half of the workforce applied for UI during the pandemic and needed it. To get that done was really hard. And, what was good about it, if there's good about such a tragedy, is it really forced us to look at how we treat people in unemployment insurance. And I think, I used to say a lot, like, we only insure things that are valuable, and unemployment insurance is an insurance program. That's really true. And what we're going to be doing is making a much better handoff from a technological perspective for a person who is in the rotten luck of having lost a job and having to be on UI. We want to get them into that kind of career we were talking about earlier, that kind of real job where they can contribute to the shared prosperity of the state and be part of it, and have the dignity of making a good living by contributing. So look for that as we're building out what we're lovingly calling the pizza tracker, after the Domino's pizza app that I actually tried yesterday, the Domino's pizza app, and it shows you where that pizza is the whole time. We're going to do that with our UI benefits, so people don't have to call as much. And, we'll be able to also then help you connect with looking for a new job.
Well, while we're on the subject of UI benefits, I have to ask you about this, because it seems like everyone on the planet has been victimized by this, and that is bad actors filing unemployment insurance claims in other people's names, the fraud that's attached to it. For the 1 millionth time, can you please tell us what somebody should do when that happens?
Oh, of course. Well, the first thing is it's imposter fraud, is what the name of it is, and it's an apt name. When people have their identities compromised, and then the criminals take that information and present for government programs, including UI. It has happened a lot, but also PPP loans and tax returns. This has been sort of a dirty secret that has been going on longer than anybody wants. But during the pandemic, it was a full-blown attack, organized criminals from Nigeria, people say, but also copycats. What will happen is somebody presented as you, and then UI has certain notifications. One notification goes to your employer, says, hey, Scott Jensen was working for you. You laid him off and he's trying to get benefits. Do you want to respond to Scott, in this case's request? That goes to employers. And then there's also a notice that goes to the employee that says, hey, we got your benefit, we got your application. You either did or didn't get it. You either did or didn't get UI. Unfortunately, when you're defrauded, when the state's defrauded in your name, you're going to get that letter. And when you get that letter, people feel rightly very violated. The reason they feel violated is because they've been violated. And what you need to do, go to the state police website, log in the information. The state police are going to keep that log, and they're going to send it to us. We will have probably already stopped that claim because, to go back to our artificial intelligence theme, we've been doing some pretty sophisticated things with some private sector partners to stop these thieves from getting into the UI trust fund as much as we can. And, hopefully, we will catch some of these people. I know the state police are working with the FBI, the U.S. Treasury Department to try to track them down, and hopefully more and more they will. Mm-hmm. But it is an absolutely horrendous thing that is just awful when you consider how badly people need unemployment insurance during a time like this.
I guess what I can't understand is, how do they actually get the money if the benefits are going to be paid to the person whose name you're, the fraudulent person, right? How does the money?
They provide an internet bank account or another bank account, and we, at the very beginning of the pandemic, before we became sophisticated about it, we would notice that, hey, these fraudsters seem to be using these internet banks. Let's stop all the internet banks. So do a lot of young people use those banks. So do a lot of gig workers are paid by Green Dot and other banks. So when you try a broad stroke like that, you wind up really hurting a lot of people, which not only do we not want to do that to people, but the ACLU sued us and made a very serious and pointed observation that those violate due process rights for our claimants. Wasn't pleasant to be sued by the ACLU during the middle of a pandemic, but we're working with them, with the federal judge, with everybody, because they have a point. So we're going to get through all of this. I think Rhode Island, I like to say, during the pandemic, got itself a C+ in the administration of unemployment insurance benefits, and that doesn't sound like much, but on a curve, it's an A+. There were flat out failures around the country, and we were slow. We were hard to get a hold of on the telephone. We frustrated people in ways that we did not like and we did not want to do. But, so far, knock on wood, we have made it through. And I think, hopefully we're on the other end now.
Mm-hmm. So what you have just shared is that if somebody is claiming unemployment insurance benefits in your name as imposter fraud, the steps to take are to call the Rhode Island State Police and go online and file that with them. and then they will follow up, and then state police in turn will work in collaboration with DLT and work to make sure that those claims do not get paid. And the way they get paid, you're saying, is the various electronic transfers that are not verified. So I guess I could go on about the how this actually works, and if the employer doesn't authorize the fact that the person is laid off, then does it still kick in? But that's probably a story for another day.
Well, the good news is we are, at the beginning of the pandemic, we used 3 or 4 different factors to try to stop fraudulent claims. Now we're using over 50 factors, and we're changing them up every week in order to do a better job catching these criminals. Everything has an analogy to COVID, and this is a little bit like an immune system. You never know exactly what variant of the fraud will come in, so it's incumbent on us and our technologies to identify and then mount a response against the bad guys. And it's going to be with us for a long time, and we're going to be working to stop it.
And if someone were to get a W-2 to result in claiming that income, then that's part and parcel of the report that one would provide to the state.
Yeah, and now that also you could go right in. People get 1099s. I never know exactly what the tax form numbers are myself, but in this instance, it is a 1099. They tell me. We have a portal on the DLT website. You can report that. We'll make sure that we send you back a 1099 that says 0 on it for your tax purposes. UI benefits are taxable, and we don't want insult to injury and have you having to pay taxes on benefits that you did not receive.
Okay, good to know. I have it memorized, and I will be able to recite it perfectly and be able to help the many people for whom this has really been a challenge. Just a couple of other questions on COVID, and that is, how are we doing with recovering all the jobs that we have lost?
Well, that's going to take a while. The good thing is after the holidays and the pause, we're able, recently the Lieutenant Governor, Dr. Nicole Alexander Scott, the governor, announced that we can open up a little bit more. I'm really excited to tell you that I just saw the claims numbers from last week, and we are getting back to see claims numbers at UI dropping down again. So hopefully that's going to be good. That's going to be good.
What about the unemployment insurance trust fund? That's something that business professionals are always mindful of because the level of that fund dictates the unemployment insurance rates that employers pay. So tell us a little bit about how that is doing and how the federal CARES Act dollars are helping to shore that up.
Sure. I used to have a philosophy professor, Laurie, who would say to us, wrong, A+. I was wrong at the beginning of the pandemic. I was right about the number of unemployed people who would be likely to file for benefits should we have to close the economy. But I was wrong at how long that would take. And, we've had about 250,000 people drop benefits over time, which is what we guessed. But because it was spaced out over a lot longer, the trust fund has been able to stay solvent. Unlike the Great Recession, we have about $150 million in the trust fund right now, the state portion of the trust fund, and it doesn't look. And again, I'm knocking on wood because I really I'm confident that this will happen, but of course it's never over till it's over. But I think we're going to be able to not borrow. And that means that we're not going to have to pay interest on a federal loan. We're not going to have to dig ourselves into a real deep hole, and we'll come out of it. And we won't, UI taxes will raise some, but they won't have to go to the heights that they were in the Great Recession. So that's really good news. Got to keep our fingers crossed that it holds.
So you don't envision any changes and adjustments in unemployment insurance taxes to make up for any shortage?
They'll go up by formula in the law, but we won't have to have them go up and pay back a federal loan and pay back interest on that federal loan. So, the hit that we're going to need to take is not going to be like it was during the Great Recession. And that's really good news.
So we only have a couple of minutes left. So I just want to, throw it open to you, Scott, and, perhaps offer any last bits of suggestions that you might have to folks that are interested in back to work initiatives or upskilling initiatives, or employers that might want to take advantage of the demand-driven programs that you've set up. You've done so much during your tenure, and I just want to give you an opportunity, maybe to point to, some of your proudest accomplishments, and make sure that you're leaving here with a real great smile on your face.
Well, a couple of things. First thing is, absolutely, if there are employers watching, backtoworkri.com, and it's .com. Go there. We can help you find workers. And, again, I'd ask people to think about, of course, we want everybody's business has to be competitive, but, it's a civic duty, or it's a civic opportunity, I should say, to, do our part, even if it's one or two people that you think that you can hire. We'll help you find somebody great, and we'll make a custom training program to make sure that that they're going to be great employees for you and they have the skills they need. And then, sort of more broadly, I am a foreigner coming to Rhode Island for the last 6 years. I grew up in Naperville, Illinois, which is a western suburb of Chicago. Been living in Maryland for quite a while. I, went to graduate school for far too long in New York City. And I came to Rhode Island, and, Rhode Island is a remarkable place. And it is a hobby, and it's actually very kind of fun for Rhode Islanders to make fun of themselves and not, and say, we're not as good as Massachusetts. I don't even think Boston is necessarily a real city. We have Providence. This is a great state. It's second to none. Certainly, our great neighbors to the north and our great neighbors in Connecticut. Rhode Island is absolutely on par with any place in the whole world. So continue to, I hope Rhode Islanders will continue to have the great humor they have about themselves and their neighbors and the tight-knit communities we have. But know that this is a great place that can compete with any place there is. Chicago, DC, New York, all of those places. This is a great place. I'm going to miss it. I am going to be back visiting, and I've made lifelong friends, including you and Janet and others at the chamber, Laurie. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for welcoming me and giving me a chance. What a place, and what a great 6 years. So I'm going to miss you guys.
Scott, we just want to say, and I will count my colleague Janet Raymond from the Greater Providence Chamber in this, that we just absolutely loved working with you. We learned so much from you. We had a lot of fun. thinking through, ideas that could be championed by all of us to help, do great work at DLT and help our employers, help our members of the chamber find great people and to source them. And just as importantly, to help folks that are looking for new opportunities, new careers, to be able to find those. And we had so much fun working with you and just thinking big. And I remember when we all went to Chicago together to look at Skills for Chicagoland's Future, which is a program that we brought back here, or you brought back here, you brought to us in general to model and to incubate. And we spent 2 days on the ground there just poking through everything and understanding how employers and chamber members in Chicagoland, viewed skills training and, what we needed to do back here in Rhode Island. So you were the leader of that effort. You were, we just, felt that it was such an honor and a privilege to work with you, always responsive to us, no matter, what came up. We would know that we would be able to call you and to share issues and concerns that our members put forward. So it goes right back at you, Scott, and we wish you nothing but the best. And when you go back home to Maryland and have those Maryland crab cakes, I hope you will think about the wonderful food that we have back here in Rhode Island, and I hope you will come and visit often. And I know that you're going to do really well. So I wish I had a philosophical gem to provide for you this time, but I think maybe Carpe Diem will have to suffice.
Well, here's the thing, and just between us, don't tell anybody, but lobsters are better than crab cakes. It's true. And there is no better food anywhere on this planet than the state of Rhode Island. My wife is a travel writer, and hands down.
All right. Well, how about this?
Not kidding.
It's better than crab cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Our clam cake's better than crab cakes.
Fifth Amendment. A lobster.
All right.
Well, I will. I have a Zoom with the DLT team.
So we will end on a gastronomic note, and we wish you well, Scott, and we will continue to be in touch. And we are rooting for your success, and thank you for everything you've done.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.